Hello again, and welcome to this all too familiar save state.
We're visited it a lot.
Yeah, we're just gonna fucking get the hell out of Dodge and get the blue ring, because this dungeon is literally impossible without it. So that's what we're doing.
Probably would be potentially doable, but right now it's very difficult. And if you were watching the last episode, we repeated the same section quite a few times.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible. I think it's like a requirement. It's just as much a requirement as if they were like, hey, like, here's like the magic door you can only open with the blue ring. They're like, here's the enemy that like does 5 hearts of fucking damage repeatedly as it walks towards you. So this is gonna be like a pretty boring episode of us just grinding for money.
Whoa, speedy.
I don't know if these things actually drop money, so I mean...
I don't know. So far, they haven't dropped anything.
Okay, fuck these things. They're useless.
Okay. Next, maybe these guys will give us something.
We need one of them to not spawn on the fucking... Fucking... Just let me out!
Are you not able to...
I can't get past the P-hat. Because it keeps spawning on the stairway. Does it spawn there every time?
It looks like it.
Okay,
like,
fine,
are you able to attack on the stairs?
No, you can't attack the P-hats until they stop moving.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate.
You fucking piece of shit. Yeah, even when they're frozen in motion, you can't attack them.
Aww.
Okay, these things never drop any money. The centaurs drop a lot of money, so we're gonna find screens with centaurs on them.
Okay.
This looks like there's something going on here. I know there's certain things where if you play the flute next to them, it does something in the overworld.
Whoa. Whoa, what just happened? Oh, hello.
Is this just always... Where's
it taking us?
Interesting. It like warps us to like the older dungeons, it looks like.
Interesting.
That was dungeon 4.
That was actually kind of neat.
It was kind of neat. Okay. Of course we have to grind like 250 rupees, like one at a fucking time.
And then we have to find the shop that has the ring.
The shop that has the ring is right around here.
Oh, okay.
Like, it might even be like this screen. Oh, no.
Nope, not that one.
Meet the old man at the grave. We did that already.
Yep, we already found it.
Anyway, like very near here is the shop with the blue ring. So if we find the rupees, it will come.
Oh, okay.
So since we're just farting around, what's new in your life?
For me?
Yeah.
Well, got to see my niece. That was nice.
Ooh. How old is she?
She's only 2 months.
Aww.
But she's already starting to fit into like her 3 to 6 month clothing.
Aw.
Yeah,
Is that because she's fat?
No. Definitely not fat.
Oh, I left a rupee there. That was a waste.
Aw. She's very sweet though. She looks a lot like my sister though.
Oh.
Yeah,
Is that a compliment or an insult?
Well, it looks a lot like my sister when my sister was born. We actually found an old picture of my sister when she was born, and they look very much the same. It's kind of uncanny. Ooh, fairy.
I can't even get that excited about a fairy because like, I really just need
Money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although really, like, we're probably gonna want a medicine refill for Dungeon 7, so like...
We're gonna need a lot more.
Yeah, if we can keep our health going. Also, it'll be faster to kill with sword beams.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell everybody about your checkmark challenges, and specifically your video game related one.
Oh, okay.
Marianne's also been doing the checkmark challenge with me. To sort of go over it again for people who might not be aware. The checkmark challenge is a type of New Year's resolution where rather than doing a whole long list of New Year's resolutions, or rather than doing a single New Year's resolution, you do a whole long list of resolutions. And you try to pick short, achievable resolutions that make it easier for you to complete them, and that sort of have like a checkmarky aspect to it. So that's why we call it the checkmark challenge, because the idea is that you should be able to cross things off. They're not vague things like be healthier, be a better person, blah blah blah. They're more targeted, like play all the Zelda games or whatever. So why don't you share some of yours with us? Some of yours with us.
Okay, well, while Tyson had play the entire Zelda series, I'm not as big of a gamer. One of the big things I do want to do that I've never actually done before is I've never 100%ed a game before. So that's one of my checkmark goals, is to 100% a game. Like, just any game. I'm still not 100% sure which game I want to do. Tyson's suggesting that I try doing Banjo-Tooie, which I've never played before. Oh, hey, there's the ring.
There's the blue ring, but we don't have enough money.
Yeah. So, yeah.
We got a plastic one.
So I'm thinking that maybe I'll try playing Banjo-Tooie, or I might see if there's like some other game that I could try doing.
Why don't you tell everybody what kind of game you're looking for, and they can comment with suggestions.
Well, I'm kind of looking for something that isn't like, it's not gonna be like super easy, but nothing that's gonna be too difficult to do. Like, as much as it would be really fun to like try and complete like a whole open world game, I don't want it to be something that's gonna take me the entire year to do.
Yeah, so you want something that's like achievably full completion for like a newbie.
Yeah, like something that isn't gonna be like so impossibly complicated for me that I'm just gonna give up on it.
My suggestions were Majora's Mask as a Zelda game. We're gonna have my buddy Luke on as the guest for that game, actually. And then Banjo-Tooie, which I think is like I think Banjo-Tooie is an easier 100% than Banjo-Kazooie, because you keep like your notes and things like that, and there's no lives. Banjo-Kazooie is well, perhaps a shorter, I would say it is a more strenuous 100%, which is why I suggested Banjo-Tooie. But,
okay.
and I also suggested the original Pokemon, like in the context of catching all 150. Again, while time-consuming is not particularly difficult, there aren't the complicated catches of the later games. But I'm curious below, what do you guys think would be good 100% games for her? And what games have you done? And also, what are your checkmark challenges for this year? And what would you like to accomplish? What are some short, achievable goals you'd like to set for yourself in the gaming sphere? So leave a comment below and let us know.
Should I go over some of my other checkmark goals?
Go for it. We're
Okay.
just killing time. I'm at 108.
Okay. So I had the 100% a game. One of them we've actually already done. Both Tyson and I had this on our lists. It was to cook a rabbit. So that was one that we actually did last week. Turned out okay. Neither of us actually really knew how to cook it properly, so we had to Google it. And it turned out okay.
It is surprisingly complicated to cook a rabbit.
It tasted similar to chicken, only we found it a little bit tougher, and I'm not sure if that's either because we overcooked it or if it's just because of the type of meat that it is. But I liked it. I would definitely eat it again.
I think it's like a rabbit is a lot more muscly. Like, a lot of the animals we're used to eating are sort of like live in cages their whole lives, whereas a rabbit is often free range. It runs around more, which means it gets like musclier, and obviously muscle is chewier, drier.
Mm-hmm. But usually the meat is darker too because of it.
Yeah, well, we found the meat like pinker than, like, I would say it had more color to it than pork or chicken.
Yeah. Okay, so another one that I want to do also food related is to try frog legs, which is something else I've never had before.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know of a place where I can get them, but once again, don't know how to cook them, so we'll have to play around with that and see how I feel about it. Are you just exploring old dungeons to grind for money now?
They are actually surprisingly good for grinding for money. Like, I've got a lot of money since I walked in here.
Nice. Okay. Another one that I'm gonna do, I'm not sure how well this one's gonna work out, considering the state of the world at the moment, is to try out a goat yoga class, which for anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's exactly what it sounds like. You do yoga while goats jump around.
So what is the value of the goats to the goat yoga?
So one of the things that happens with the goats is with like their hooves and stuff, they can actually hit points along the body, like basically pressure points, and I guess in a way it's kind of like acupressure in that way, except, and also just the...
So are they trained?
Not really, no. Like they're used to being around people and stuff, but the big thing with the goats is mostly for stress relief.
Okay.
Because a lot of studies have been done where exposure to animals, like especially cats and dogs, and I guess also goats, they've actually found that they help to relieve stress.
Cool.
Yeah. When I was in post-secondary, the weeks leading up to final exams and stuff, they would bring in therapy dogs for people to come in, and we can cuddle the dogs and stuff, and just to help relieve some stress.
Oh, these things. This will be a good room for grinding money.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
remember this room. Because I think these things just keep spawning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those are some good goals. Do you have maybe one more you want to tell us about? Oh god.
Another one that I really want to do is, and I feel like this would really help right now too, is because a lot of people are trying to be more supportive of local businesses. So one thing that I want to do is I want to order food from 10 different local restaurants that I've never tried before.
Is it order food from or eat at?
Either one. Like,
Okay.
Currently, because we're not able to eat out, like, I would order food from them, but if I can actually go in and actually, like, sit down and eat there, then that would be better. But for the moment, since we're not able to actually go out to restaurants right now, then I'd be willing to just order the food in from them.
Mm-hmm. We had poke bowls today, and they were quite good.
I love poke bowls.
I do too. What was your first experience of like raw fish? Like, were you like immediately into it, or were you somebody who like took some convincing?
Let's see. I'm trying to remember what was my first experience with raw fish. Because I remember that we made sushi in class one time when I was in junior high. The teacher brought in the stuff for it, but I think she only did vegetarian sushi rolls, so there was...
Like California rolls?
Yeah, like there was no crab, no fish, nothing like that. It was basically just like cucumber. I think she had like some carrot or avocado. Like it was very basic stuff that we put inside. Especially since we were 8th graders.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was my first time having like some sort of sushi roll. But I can't really remember the first time I had that I had like fish, like raw fish.
I definitely I was a very picky eater when I was young. But sort of when I got older, I sort of wanted to really teach myself to appreciate new foods. I very much saw it that like being a picky eater was an educational issue for me, at least. Like I had no allergies or anything. I just hadn't really learned how how to appreciate different kinds of foods other than what I was used to. And I've really enjoyed teaching myself to eat different types of food.
Yeah. For me, I think it's a little bit different that I grew up in a family that's that we did a lot of fusion between Filipino food and European food.
Oh, tell me more about that.
So my mom's Filipino, and she's usually the one that does a lot of the cooking, but my dad is part Hungarian, so I guess as we were growing up, like my dad would like tell her about different recipes and stuff that he grew up eating, and she would kind of do her own little spin on it.
I think that's really cool, like kind of like a Filipino guess at like a classic Hungarian recipe.
Yeah.
That's like pretty interesting. Are there any stories of like really good ones or really bad ones? Like times it worked out or times it really didn't?
I can't really think of any particular ones where it didn't work out. Then again, for some of them, I don't actually know what they were supposed to taste like in the first place.
What are your thoughts on like the idea of fusion? Like when you have like chefs who aren't part of the culture, like aren't raised in the cuisine, sort of like coming up with their own take on it, like is that good? Does that help a cuisine like grow and thrive and stay alive? Or does that sort of like disrespectful towards like the culture that cuisine was born in, and like, you know, should Filipino food be for Filipinos to make, and should they sort of be the authority on it? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I don't feel that way. Like, I feel like everyone should be able to like learn, like they should know how to make like at least learn how to make it from somebody who is maybe familiar with the dish already, or grew up with that dish, and then from there, after you've tried the original version, maybe try doing your own spins on it after that.
How do you feel about like the fast foodification of ethnic cuisine? Like how we take something like Latin cuisine and make Taco Bell, or like taking curry, and that's, I think, increasingly becoming something that's like jars and frozen food packages and stuff like that, rather than being like what it really authentically is. Do you think that that's a good thing and that it makes it more approachable for a lot of people, or do you think that it's bad in that like we're losing a lot of what those cuisines really are? Like, I think Latin cuisine is the perfect example where I would say most Americans and Canadians don't really know what real Latin food is. Like, our idea of Mexican food is taco time.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel like for a lot of people, their first exposure and sometimes even their only exposure to certain types of cuisine would be from a fast food chain or from a box mix that they get from the grocery store. And like, I think it's good that people are still exposing themselves to different types of food, but I don't know, it's definitely a little bit more, what would you call it, Americanized? Like, the way that's done?
I would say it becomes very pedestrian. Like, you kind of get a lowest common denominator version of whatever cuisine you're gonna get. It loses a lot of, like you're gonna lose a lot of the sort of local, unfamiliar ingredients.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose a lot of the spice and things like that often.
Yeah, I don't think you'll ever see chorizo at Taco Bell, Or
well, and
something
like
that.
when you do see chorizo, it's not real chorizo.
No.
Like I think you'll see, oh, spicy chorizo, chalupa, blah 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 bullshit. But like you won't see like real. The quality of ingredients isn't there, and so many cuisines, the quality of ingredients is the whole deal. Like, and when you cheap it out and make it into a $1.50 like frozen entree, then you lose a lot of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I would say curry, perhaps more than anywhere, is where we see that. Like as we try to take like an immensely complicated and often like spiritual like way of cooking food and like reduce it to like curry powder, then you lose a lot of like what it is. And like,
oh yeah,
you know, when you get a curry sauce, and I'm not saying like there are different levels of curry sauce obviously, but when you're getting your generic yellow curry powder, that is not like Indian food. And I think often then people judge and say, oh, I don't really like the taste of that because they've tasted the shittiest version of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely happened with me before. With, well, like it was actually curry that my family had tried it. The curry mixes from a grocery store, didn't like it, and so then we just never got them again. But then I also knew somebody who his family was from Dubai, and they made a lot of Indian food, and trying the food with the family, like the way, like how his mom made it, like it was very different. Like even just how it was, not just on the flavor, but also just how it was presented as a dish and stuff. Also the fact that I couldn't eat like half of it because it was so spicy and it felt like my entire mouth and throat and stomach were on fire as I ate it.
There you go. I always find it interesting that like we think of chili as being so ubiquitous in Asian cuisine, and in many ways we think of it as an Asian ingredient, but it actually came from North America. It's a Native American ingredient more than anything.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like, there were no chilies prior to the Columbian Exchange anywhere in Asia or Europe. Which is kind of interesting to think about.
That is very interesting. And now, like, a lot of those cultures are known for the spices in their food.
Absolutely. Like, I think Indian food is, like, the definition of that. Like, but really, like, the first spicy food is Latin food. Like, that's the first cuisine that really uses the chili. Like, by centuries. Like, first, like, the sort of, like, existing, like, Mesoamerican cuisine, and then, like, the sort of the original, like, Latin cuisine. Like, the first, what's the word? The first fusion is, like, when the Spaniards start to adopt combinations of their ingredients with Latin American ingredients. It's a pretty interesting phenomenon.
Yeah.
I almost have all the rupees I need.
Yay.
So,
Ow.
I'm trying to think if I have anything else to say about cuisines.
Oh gosh, that was a bad little mix right there.
Yeah, so I guess, like, the ultimate question is, do you think that, culture gets to be like the stewards of their own cuisine, or is it all like, if you excuse the pun, like a melting pot where everyone gets to borrow from every culture and that's just the way it works? Like, is it ever fair for like say an Italian to say you're making bolognese wrong, you're making this wrong, like you can't do this, you can't do that, there are rules in our cuisine, or like is everything always up for grabs? This is something I struggle with, especially as somebody, like, I would consider myself mostly like an Italian chef. Not that I have any sort of Italian background whatsoever, which is part of what I'm pointing out, I guess. But like, Italian food has like a philosophy of how you cook things and how you make things, and certain things go together and certain things don't. and like they're often like the most snobbish of the food cultures to be like, oh, that's not real lasagna, that's not real like whatever, like you can't be using this ingredient, or like you can't put cream in your sauce and things like this. And like, is there any place for them to say like, no, we figured it out, this is our food, like, or is it just bullshit? It's totally fine to say that it's bullshit. I think a lot of people think that it's bullshit.
I definitely think like a lot of people go to extremes with it. But I'm definitely in the boat of, I think that we should be able to put our own spins on different foods, as long as we're not forgetting the roots of it.
You don't think it's ever like disrespectful to a cuisine to like just make something differently than they'd make it?
Like, as long as you're not making it like completely different from how you would usually make it.
Is there some point where like you can reasonably say like, this isn't bolognese, this isn't carbonara, this isn't like Alfredo because of the way you're making it? Or is that just like a name? I think we often forget that like Alfredo is just like fucking Alfred's sauce, really. Like, it's not some big culinary monolith that's been around for centuries. Like, it's some guy named Alfredo. The Caesar salad is named after a Mexican chef named Caesar, like, less than 100 years ago.
Okay, well, one of the big things that we did, like, when I was in pastry school was we actually did do a class on classic desserts. So, like, those classic desserts we did were things like Black Forest cake, what were some other ones that we did? Baked Alaska, Cherries Jubilee, Crepe Suzette, like things like that.
Yeah.
And the big thing with them was that you can only call it that thing if it has all of the components of that thing in it. So, like, for example, with a Black Forest cake, you can't actually really call it a Black Forest cake unless you're using sour cherries and kirsch.
But that's like a perfect example where I think like baking is no exception, where people will, you know, sort of make something up and say, oh, this is sort of, you know, it's sort of this thing, but it isn't really that thing. Like, but should someone be able to say, oh, this is my take on, like, fucking tiramisu or something, and it has ice cream in it, and that's my thing? Or, like, do you have to pay, like, a certain amount of reverence to be like, this isn't... Yeah, like, there's, like, a perfect example. Like, if you're making Black Forest cake, are there rules you have to follow to call it a Black Forest cake? Or not?
Yeah, like, I definitely think that there should... Like, you still have to pay homage to the original thing. Like, you can't make a meat sauce and call it Alfredo sauce.
For sure, but, like, I'll use carbonara because, like, it's a classic contentious example. Like, a lot of Italians will tell you that if you put cream into a carbonara sauce, that it is not a carbonara. That a real carbonara does not have cream. But, like, a lot of chefs will do that because they like the taste, or it's easier for a home chef because, like, you don't have to do the emulsification and blah, blah, blah. Like, and is it fine that we just say, like, yeah, like, you can make a carbonara with cream and that's nobody's business except your own? Or is that something where, like, we really should get out of shape and say, like, you know, like, that's not okay. Like, if you're going to call it carbonara, there's rules you gotta follow. Oh, this is a big moment.
Oh, that's so exciting. Woo! Bye, money.
Okay, final thoughts on food before we pinch this episode off. I like how the whole shop just disappears.
You picked one item. Get out.
I know. Ooh, now I'm like white.
Interesting. Sorry, final thoughts.
Anything you want to like get out before the next episode?
Just the fact that with pizza, the people in the region where pizza originally originated, if they ever saw what we make as pizza in other parts of the world, they would probably call it a bastardized version of it, and they would probably hate it.
Totally. Okay, next time, maybe we'll continue this conversation. See you guys next time.